Hi, I'm Kirk Evans, president of U.S. LawShield, and we're here today to talk about a recent Supreme Court ruling overturning the so-called bump stock ban. So we'll talk quickly about what the U.S. Supreme Court did, but then there are several other aspects of this decision and things that the Supreme Court did not do that very well could impact many other firearms owners and people who own accessories and firearms parts. So what did the Supreme Court do? The Supreme Court looked at the federal statutory definition of machine gun, and that's the law that's passed by Congress in the Gun Control Act and the National Firearms Act. Looked at, here's the statutory definition of machine gun. Then they took a step back and looked at what the ATF had done, and the ATF redefined bump stocks as machine guns. And the Supreme Court said, no, the function of a bump stock is not what Congress intended or defined when they defined machine gun, and so this ban is invalid and is unlawful. So if you have a bump stock today, if you didn't turn it in or destroy it, under federal law, there is currently no ban. So what did the Supreme Court not do? And this is the important part. They did not rule that there could never be a bump stock ban. In fact, Congress, if they passed a law under this decision, if they passed a statute, a federal statute, as opposed to the ATF action, under this ruling, the bump stock ban might very well be valid. In addition, the Supreme Court did not issue a ruling saying bump stocks were firearms or protected by the Second Amendment or that a ban would be unconstitutional. They didn't do anything of that. They just looked at these the sort of the minutia of the definitions and ruled that a bump stock by definition was not a machine gun. So what does that also mean for gun owners? So roughly a third of the states and the District of Columbia in this country have bans on bump stocks, either explicitly or in the state statutes, definitions of items that might be considered a bump stock. So if you live in one of those states, this decision does not impact those state laws whatsoever. If you have one of these items or seek to possess or acquire one of these items and you take it into a state that has a law prohibiting such items, you could very well find yourself arrested, charged, even convicted of possessing one of these items despite the Supreme Court decision. The next big thing for firearm owners is there are a number of devices that are illegal or were illegal before this decision that help turn a semi-automatic firearm into an automatic firearm or a machine gun, or at least mimic a machine gun. And the prime example there is an auto sear. So those items were illegal beforehand and are not impacted by this decision whatsoever. Those items remain illegal despite the U.S. Supreme Court's decision. Final question that we are getting a lot of is, hey, I had a bump stock and it was destroyed or turned into the ATF as a result of the ATF's ruling. Can I get it back, or can I get compensated for this item that was worth money and has now been taken away from me? That is up in the air. There's going to be extensive litigation under what is called the Takings Clause. And the Takings Clause says that if the government takes private property for a public purpose, that you're entitled to just compensation for that loss, for that taking. That is going to be litigated. That is up in the air. Be on the lookout to see what occurs in that area and whether or not you might be entitled to compensation if you turned in, destroyed, or otherwise disposed of a bump stock. So the good news is, if you're a U.S. LawShield member, at no additional cost to you, as a part of your membership, you can call in today, anytime, ask to speak to the independent program attorney in your state, and they can help you with any question you might have about any of these issues. You might say, hey, I've got this item that helps increase the rate of fire of a semi-automatic weapon. Is that a bump stock? Is it otherwise legal, illegal? Are bump stocks banned in my state or the District of Columbia? Or, hey, I turned in one of these items or they were destroyed. Can I get compensated for my lost bump stock? They can walk you through all of those issues at no additional cost to you. Thank you very much for watching this update.